America, 1963. The summer heat hangs heavy over Washington, D.C. Streets are crowded, overflowing with people. Men in shirts and ties, women in bright summer dresses, children perched on their parents' shoulders. More than 250,000 souls have gathered, shoulder to shoulder, waiting for something they've never seen before. At the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, a man in a dark suit stands tall. His eyes sweep across the sea of faces. When he speaks, his voice is steady, deep, and full of conviction. "I have a dream," he says, for simple words. But in that moment, they strike like lightning. They ripple through the crowd, across the nation, and into the pages of history. And this is his story, the story of Martin Luther King Jr., a preacher who fought hate with love, who challenged injustice with peace, and whose dream still lives on today. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. From the very beginning, his world was divided. White children went to one school, black children to another. Restaurants had signs above their doors. Whites only, colored. Even something as simple as a water fountain reminded young Martin that America was not the same for everyone. It was painful, hurtful, yet Martin's parents raised him with strength. His father, a Baptist preacher, told him, "You are as good as anyone." His mother, gentle and wise, reminded him that no law, no sign, no hateful word could ever take away his dignity. Martin grew up holding tightly to that belief. He was not just an ordinary child. He was sharp, thoughtful, full of curiosity. He skipped grades and, at only 15 years old, walked into college while most boys his age were still in high school. But intelligence alone was not what defined him. Martin had a restless mind, always searching for truth. In college and seminary, he studied religion and philosophy. He asked hard questions. What is justice? What is the right way to fight wrong? Then he discovered the writings of Mahatma Gandhi. From Gandhi, he learned something that would forever shape his destiny: the power of nonviolence. The idea that courage is not proven through fists or guns, but through standing firm in peace. That resisting hate with love could move mountains. Martin was moved. He knew he had found his calling. By the 1950s, Martin had become a pastor, just like his father. He married Coretta Scott, a brilliant young woman with a beautiful voice and an even stronger spirit. Together, they dreamed of a family in a better world. They would go on to raise 4 children, but life would never be easy. For the world outside their home was burning with injustice. Black Americans were denied basic rights. They were told where they could live, where they could sit, even how they could travel. And when they dared to speak up, they were often met with fists, fire, and fear. Then came a spark. December 1955, Montgomery, Alabama. A seamstress named Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat on a bus to a white man. She is arrested. In that moment, the people of Montgomery decide they've had enough. They will boycott the buses, and they choose a young pastor to lead them, Martin Luther King Jr. For 381 days, over a year, black residents refused to ride the buses. They walked to work in the rain. They carpooled with strangers. They endured insults, beatings, and bombings. Even Martin's home was attacked, but he stood firm. He told his followers, "We must meet hate with love. We must meet violence with peace." Finally, the Supreme Court declared bus segregation unconstitutional. The boycott had won, and Martin had risen as the leader of a movement. The years that followed tested him again and again. Martin was arrested more than 20 times. He was threatened daily, yet he never turned to hatred. Instead, he marched through streets where angry mobs shouted slurs. He knelt in prayer while police unleashed dogs and fire hoses. He kept telling America a truth it didn't want to hear, that freedom was not just for some, but for all. In the summer of 1963, history called once more. 250,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. for the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. The crowd stretched as far as the eye could see, black and white, young and old, standing together for justice. And there, in front of the statue of Abraham Lincoln, Martin delivered the speech that would echo through time. "I have a dream," he declared. A dream that one day his children would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. A dream of freedom, a dream of equality, a dream of America finally living up to its promise. The crowd roared, the world listened, and those words became the heartbeat of a generation. But with greatness came danger. Martin's vision was powerful, but it also made him enemies. Many feared change. Many hated the idea of equality. And with every step forward, the threats against his life grew louder. In 1964, Martin was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. He was just 35 years old, the youngest recipient at the time. He stood on the world stage as a symbol of what nonviolence could achieve. But at home, the struggle continued. Civil rights workers were attacked. Churches were burned. Protesters were jailed. The fight for equality was far from over. Then came April 4th, 1968. Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King Jr. was in town to support striking sanitation workers, men fighting for fair pay and dignity. That evening, he stepped out onto the balcony of his hotel. The air was calm. His friends stood nearby. And then, a single gunshot. Martin fell, just 39 years old. His voice silenced, but his dream still alive. The world wept. In cities across America, grief poured into the streets. People cried, prayed, and demanded justice. The loss was unbearable. But even in death, Martin's light could not be extinguished. Today, Martin Luther King Jr. is remembered not just as a leader, but as a symbol of hope. His birthday is a national holiday in the United States. Streets, schools, and monuments carry his name. His words are taught to children, whispered in churches, and quoted by presidents. But his true legacy isn't carved in stone. It lives in the voices of those who still march for equality, in the hands that choose peace over violence, and in the hearts of people who dare to dream of a better world. Martin once said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." Those words still guide us. Martin Luther King Jr. was just one man, a preacher, a husband, a father, a dreamer. But he proved that one voice, full of courage, could change a nation, and one dream could change the world.